Hi, I'm Madupa Akinola from TED Business, and I'm here to talk about the Financial Times. Every day, the world bombards you with endless headlines and noise. What matters most? Facts and context. That's where the Financial Times comes in. With clarity, depth, and truly independent reporting, the FT helps you cut through the noise and see what's real and why it matters. Stay informed with the trusted source leaders around the world rely on. Visit ft.com/sourceft to read more and save 40% on a digital FT subscription.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with a Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Hi, this is Joe from Vanta. In today's digital world, compliance regulations are changing constantly, and earning customer trust has never mattered more. Vanta helps companies get compliant fast and stay secure with the most advanced AI, automation, and continuous monitoring out there. So whether you're a startup going for your first SOC 2 or ISO 27001, or a growing enterprise managing vendor risk, Vanta makes it quick, easy, and scalable. And I'm not just saying that because I work here. Get started at Vanta.com.
As a small business owner, you don't have the luxury of clocking out early. Your business is on your mind 24/7. So when you're hiring, you need a partner that works just as hard as you do. That hiring partner is LinkedIn Jobs. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates that you can manage, all in one place. With LinkedIn's new tools, you can write great job descriptions and quickly get your post in front of the right people using deep candidate insights. You can either post your job for free or pay to promote it. Promoted jobs get 3 times more qualified applicants. At the end of the day, what matters most is the quality of your candidates. 72% of small businesses using LinkedIn say it helps them find high-quality hires. And you can boost your reach by adding a hashtag hiring frame to your profile picture to get twice as many qualified candidates. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/DTNS. That's linkedin.com/DTNS. Terms and conditions apply.
This is the Daily Tech News for Friday, October 17th, 2025. We tell you what you need to know, follow up on the context of those stories, and to help each other understand.
Today, Andy Beach tells us about the Screen Actor Guild's first AI casting and how Apple MacBooks might finally get a touchscreen.
Finally. I'm Jason Howell.
I'm Jenn Cutter.
Let's start with what you need to know with the big story. I'm sitting here with my MacBook Pro. I'm touching the screen. It's not doing anything. But you know what? In the future, it might. Mark Gurman at Bloomberg is reporting that Apple will introduce touchscreens into its upcoming MacBook Pro models, some of them anyways, with a projected release sometime in late 2026, maybe even early 2027, still a ways out. This actually backs up an earlier report that we heard by analyst Ming-Chi Kuo from last month, kind of alluding to the same thing. The updated laptops will feature M6 chips. So this will be part of the M6, the M5 just came out. So the next generation of chips, along with OLED screens and a reinforced hinge and screen hardware. That's really meant, according to the report, to improve the stability of the device. If you're reaching up and you're touching the screen and everything, maybe that hinge needs to be better to kind of provide resistance against that type of control. That's what that's all about. Gurman's report also states that the new laptops will incorporate thinner and lighter frames. So somehow these things are going to get lighter. That's nice. The display will no longer have the notch up top. So if you love the notch, sorry to say, it's going to be replaced by a hole punch design that surrounds the front-facing camera. Don't worry though. None of this means that the keyboard and the touchpad are going to go away. I wouldn't have assumed that, but I think it's important to state that touchscreen does not mean it suddenly, disappears. But do worry if you don't like spending more money on things, because Gurman says that these changes are likely to increase the cost by several $100s to account for the higher end components. Now, Apple is expected to roll out these features to the high end MacBook Pros first, and it's going to monitor market demand from there, see if maybe they could bring that feature to more of its lower end options down the line. So I don't know. Are you on a MacBook, or are you PC, or what?
I am PC and learning Linux, and I'm learning Linux on an old ThinkPad X220, which has a touchscreen. But it's also one of those ones that has like
the touchscreen.
Old laptop with a touchscreen. It's also one of the ones with a pen, like you could flip the top half around and use it also as a writing surface, which is. And to jump to the obvious question, like I am playing with Pop! OS as my Linux distro because I'm looking to leave Windows. But every time I switch back from my touchscreen to my regular laptop, which is just running Windows 10, I do actually reach out to touch the screen because for some things it is just faster if you're navigating through menus really quickly. You could do it faster touching than with a mouse. So I'm like, okay, I kind of get it now. And also, I know I say this every time, but Mark Gurman and Ming-Chi Kuo, outstanding hit rates. So I'm always inclined to believe them.
100%. Definitely inclined to believe them. Now, this would be significant from the perspective of Steve Jobs famously decrying a move to touchscreens in the laptop. He always wanted to say, like, absolutely not. The laptop is a different type of device. No touchscreen on the laptop. But like you say, we've seen a lot of other laptops do this. You know, my MacBook Pro is primarily what I use, but I've used a lot of Chromebooks in my past. I've relied on them at many times throughout my career, and having the touchscreen, which pretty much most of the Chromebooks that I use do, they don't all include touchscreen capability, but the Google's, Pixel, touchscreen laptops did. And I would say that in my use, having the touchscreen was never necessary for my use. However, there were definite moments where I was really happy that I had it. Like, it wasn't a 100% of the time I'm using the touchscreen all the time, gorilla arms and all that kind of stuff. But there were times in my use where it was kind of nice to just like rest my hand on the side of the display and scroll up instead of, kind of using the touch pad down below. So I would say non-essential, but really nice to have. Would you agree with that outlook, or do you find essential uses for it?
I on my main PC, I run 2 monitors, and I have a very old but very functional Wacom Bamboo tablet. It's not a screen, it's just a tablet, and I have it mapped to one of my monitors so that I can use the stylus as kind of a touchscreen because I can just jump around rather than have to drag a mouse. I have it set like that. So I know where my corners are. I know where everything is so that when I'm like video editing or doing something mouse intensive that doesn't always map to keyboard shortcuts. Like if I'm doing stuff with Magic Wand, if I'm doing stuff with like certain keying tools, I will use the tablet and pen to kind of simulate using a touchscreen to just trace around things. And it's just smoother for me than with a mouse. I know some people are just experts with mice and it makes it easy for them. But for me, I do find it easy to use a touchscreen type of deal, though I do prefer a stylus to actually physically touching things when I'm doing artistic things. Well,
yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. My fat fingers are not very artistic, that's for sure. But what this also reminded me of is, remember, there was a short period of time, it wasn't that long ago, it's not a distant memory at this point, it's still somewhat fresh, where Apple, as kind of the trade-off for not having a touch screen, did the touch bar. Did you ever get to experience the touch bar?
All I remember about the touch bar were the issues with it.
Yes.
And a lot of the repairs. Like I saw, like they're saying, oh yeah, okay, don't worry about, we're gonna make sure the hinge is good. And I have concerns because they are, mixing that new hinge with thinner and lighter frames. I have an iPhone 16 now, and it is so thin it makes me worried, especially because women's pockets are small. So like I'm very careful to like throw it in a purse or a much bigger bag than try to cram it in a pocket, because like I don't want to sit down and break a phone, and I don't want a laptop to bend while it's in a knapsack.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I'm super curious to see, as a MacBook Pro user. And I mean, the MacBook that I'm on, I think it's still like an It's an M1 Pro. So I'm now realizing, this thing's starting to get a little dated compared to some of this stuff. Isn't it weird when you buy a new laptop, you're like, I am set and this thing's going to last me forever. And then I feel like I blink and it's 5 years later. I'm like, oh, dang.
Well, also, a lot of our sense of time has been broken since approximately 2020.
It's a little warped. You're absolutely right.
Is there a price that would disqualify the new MacBook from your interest list? Depending on the jump, is there a way that they could make you get a lower end MacBook if this ends up completely insane?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think the question, it sounds like part of the question that you're really getting to is this enough for me to feel like I need to stick with a MacBook Pro? You know what I mean? Is it is the touchscreen worth it to me to pay more for? And I'd probably pay a little bit more for it. But again, like I was saying, I don't see it as essential. I see it as a nice to have, not an essential to have. And so, yeah, there probably is a price. I don't know what that price is. I don't know if it's a couple $100 boost. You know how when you buy a computer, at least with Apple, and it totally gives you the full screen of activate this, add $200 for this feature and everything. I'm wondering if that's going to be the case. And if so, that's going to be a real interesting decision-making point of well, is this worth $350 extra to add touchscreen? I'm kind of thinking I might not, unless the price to begin with is lower. Price is a consideration. I don't know what my value is for that quite yet.
I'd also be surprised if Apple launches with just a touchscreen, because that's not something they do. I feel like they're going to have some extra software thing to make it extra cool, because they have all of this experience with touchscreens with the iPads and the iPhones and stuff. So if they're going to cram that in a laptop, I would be surprised if it ends up as just a touchscreen.
One more thing. It's more than just a touchscreen.
DTNS is made possible by you, the listener. Thanks to Norm Fazikis, Chris Allen, Reed Fischler, and welcome to our new patrons, Sebastian and Mark. Welcome.
Standing slow clap for you all.
As a small business owner, you don't have the luxury of clocking out early. Your business is on your mind 24/7. So when you're hiring, you need a partner that works just as hard as you do. That hiring partner is LinkedIn Jobs. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates that you can manage, all in one place. With LinkedIn's new tools, you can write great job descriptions and quickly get your post in front of the right people using deep candidate insights. You can either post your job for free or pay to promote it. Promoted jobs get 3 times more qualified applicants. At the end of the day, what matters most is the quality of your candidates. 72% of small businesses using LinkedIn say it helps them find high-quality hires. And you can boost your reach by adding a hashtag hiring frame to your profile picture to get twice as many qualified candidates. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/DTNS. That's linkedin.com/DTNS. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, what's up? It's Mario Lopez. Back to school is an exciting time, but it can also be overwhelming, and kids may feel isolated, a vulnerability that human traffickers can exploit. Human trafficking doesn't always look like what you expect. Everyday moments can become opportunities for someone with bad intentions. Whether you're a parent, teacher, coach, or neighbor, check in, ask questions, stay connected. Blue Campaign is a national awareness initiative that provides resources to help recognize suspected instances of human trafficking. Learn the signs and how to report at dhs.gov/Blue Campaign.
Hi, I'm Darina, co-founder of Quo. You might know us as OpenPhone. My dad is a business owner, and growing up, he always kept his ringtone super loud so he'd never miss a customer call. That stuck with me. When we started Quo, our mission was to help businesses not just stay in touch, but make every customer feel valued, no matter when they might call. Quo gives your team business phone numbers to call and text on your phone or computer. Your calls, messages, and contacts live in one workspace, so your team can stay fully aligned and reply faster. And with our AI agent answering 24/7, you'll really never miss a customer. Over 90,000 businesses use Quo. Get 20% off at quo.com/tech. That's quo.com/tech. And we can port your existing numbers over for free. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers.
Hey, it's Maya and Sim from the Girls That Invest podcast. If you are an IT or security pro, you know managing devices, identities, and applications can feel overwhelming and honestly risky. That's where Trellica by 1Password comes in. It helps conquer SaaS sprawl and shadow IT by discovering every app your team uses, managed or not. With pre-built app profiles, you can assess risk, manage access, and even optimize your software spend. Plus, it simplifies onboarding, offboarding, and compliance, all while cutting costs by eliminating unused licenses. Take the first step to better security for your team. Learn more at onepassword.com/special offer.
If you're a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility and your machinery isn't working right, Grainger knows you need to understand what's wrong as soon as possible. So when a conveyor motor falters, Grainger offers diagnostic tools like calibration kits and multimeters to help you identify and fix the problem. With Grainger, you can be confident you have everything you need to keep your facility running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
There is more we need to know today. Let's get to the briefs.
OnePlus has taken the veil off OxygenOS 16, the next major update of its mobile operating system set to release on the upcoming OnePlus 15. The new update includes deeper Gemini AI integration with its Mindspace app, letting users reference saved content with Google's AI model. The update also includes improved personalization options for creating vibrant lock screens with motion photos, an AI writer for text work, including turning text into mind maps and tables, improvements to animations and fluidity throughout the OS, and enhanced photo editing tools like Portrait Glow and Perfect Shot. OxygenOS 16 will roll out to select OnePlus devices starting in November 2025.
I'm just a longtime OnePlus fan, so I'm always looking forward to, their upgrades and everything. And the last couple of generations of OS upgrades that they've done with OxygenOS have, I think, made a really big difference to how their platform works and is usable by users and everything. So I've seen and experienced kind of early in kind of aspects of this update, and it does look really, really positive, really engaging, and I like what they're doing with Mindspace. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this update. A group of hackers published highly personal data, including the names, phone numbers, and addresses of hundreds of U.S. government officials on Telegram. Group appears to be, it's kind of confusing on the reporting here, from Scattered Lapsus Hunters, also the COM. I think maybe they're part of the same group, but still labeled differently. Not sure I entirely understand that, but anyways, officials from the U.S. Department of Justice, the FBI, ICE, and nearly 700 people from DHS are included in the information dump. Some of the data that was released is confirmed to match real government officials' addresses. The agencies themselves have not yet publicly commented on the incident. The DHS is claiming, though, that Mexican cartels are offering cash for doxing agents, but U.S. authorities have not yet provided evidence of those bounties, so there's still a big question mark there. The group is an offshoot of communities behind other major data breaches like Scattered Spider, that targeted MGM Resorts, just as one example, and then Lapsus, which targeted gaming companies like Electronic Arts. So that kind of gives you an indication of why their name, Scattered Lapsus Hunters, actually makes sense. But yeah, it sounds like a really massive data dump of a lot of high profile people potentially.
Yeah. And for those outside North America, DHS is Department of Homeland Security, right?
That's right. You got that right. Yeah. Probably should have spelled that out.
Well, you just get so used to seeing all of the acronyms. It's easy to get lost in them.
Yes, indeed.
Anthropic introduced Claude Skill for its Claude AI model, allowing users to create folders containing markdown files with instructions, scripts, and other resources tailored to specific tasks. The upgrade will make Claude smarter at tasks like handling Excel documents or sticking to brand guidelines, which is a very specific ask. Mm-hmm. Skills leverages Claude's coding environment to create an agent that's capable of automating any number of computer tasks. Companies like Box, Canva, and Rakuten are using the tools. The update is available to Pro, Max, Team, and Enterprise customers, so it's not quite an everybody thing.
Yeah, and I want to dive into this a little bit more. Probably, almost certainly, we'll talk about this next week on the AI Insight podcast. But Model Context Protocol is another aspect that Anthropic has been using to kind of have these kind of like hardware software integration approaches. This sounds like it's a little different from MCP, and integrations like this are a really big deal right now. It's one of those, those big major kind of trends that's happening in AI, along with agents, along with all these other things that we keep hearing about. ChatGPT just brought in their kind of app integrations into their service a couple of weeks ago. So we're seeing a lot of this right now, and I'll be really curious to see like which ones are stronger than the others, which ones tend to do better with this.
Do you think AIs are going more like trying to do a little bit of everything, or do you think there will be more specialization as these all try to differentiate themselves?
Yeah, that's a good question, because if they're all integrating with the same services, like what sets them apart? And I mean, when you look at Anthropic, and one of the things that they're very known for, and I haven't had any direct access or, direct experience with the coding side of things, but that's what a lot of people think about Anthropic is, oh, well, that's a really good, AI service, AI model for coding functions and stuff. So I think, to a certain degree, they all do have a little bit of their differentiation to say, well, this one's really generally pretty good for this, generally pretty good for that. But it does kind of seem like they're doing what a lot of other industries inside of technology do. I'm thinking of smartphones as one example, which is where they all differentiate. And then over time, it's like they tend to kind of blur together. Or social media is another great example where they all kind of start with their own focus, and over time they end up all kind of looking the same because, oh, well, now we've added short form, even though they were long form to begin with, and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that with AI as well. Interesting stuff. Wikipedia experiencing a notable drop in human visitors, according to Wikimedia Foundation Senior Director of Product Marshall Miller. He says this is the result of generative AI chatbots and search engine summarizations. Of course, he's not the only one talking about how AI is impacting websites with content. It's just Wikipedia is a very large scale as far as that's concerned. Miller told 404 Media that although AI and platforms increasingly are relying on Wikipedia for training data and answers, the resulting traffic loss that they're seeing is about 8% compared to last year, and that actually threatens the long-term viability of their resource. The foundation is enforcing policies for third-party bots, encouraging responsible use, also access of Wikipedia's content, and urging users to look for citations and click through to original sources when you're using generative AI tools, which is just a good general practice to access this kind of information. Not only is it good just to know the source that it's coming from and to make sure that it's true, but it also kind of shows the website that there are still humans involved in the process,
Yeah, like you and I will click through 100% of the time. I am also one of those people who disabled all AI answers in all of the search engines I use.
Yeah.
But yeah, for a lot of people, they just think they've got the answer in that top block and call it a day. And that's how you can get yourself into trouble when it's wrong.
Yep. Be very, very careful. Be sure. All right. And here's just a few headlines that are good to know for future stories that might actually come up on the show.
Apple and Formula One signed a $140 million per year, 5-year U.S. media deal to stream every F1 race exclusively on Apple TV beginning in 2026. This replaces ESPN as the media partner and includes F1 TV Premium for Apple TV subscribers, with some races available for free in the Apple TV app.
There you go. Race fans, Apple's your place to go. OpenAI has halted Sora video generations of Martin Luther King Jr. after his estate flagged, quote, disrespectful depictions, end quote, of his image. I had logged into Sora the other day, and I definitely saw a few myself, so I know what they're talking about. OpenAI asserts that public figures like Martin Luther King Jr. should continue to have total control over how their likeness is used with the service.
Apple is breaking tradition by partnering with Peacock to offer a discounted streaming bundle that starts at $15 per month, starting October 20th. Apple also plans to offer select Apple originals to Peacock subscribers.
Interesting. Steam just shattered its concurrent user record, reaching 41.6 million gamers on October 12th. This was timed with the release of some popular titles that were kind of all happening at once. Battlefield 6, Hollow Knight, Silksong, also demos from Steam Next Fest.
Yeah, Battlefield 6, people are like, oh, we don't know if it's going to launch with such big numbers, and it crushed all of the records.
Crushing it.
Meta will shut down its Messenger app for macOS and Windows on December 15th, pushing desktop users to the Facebook app on Windows and Facebook and Messenger websites for those chats. Meta provided no explanation for the end of the dedicated apps. Those are the essentials for today. Let's dive a little deeper.
Yeah, the first voice actors have been cast under the Screen Actors Guild's new rules for AI in entertainment. Andy Beach is here. Hey, Andy, tells us how it all went down.
Andy, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Tom, good to see you.
Okay, so SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, fought very hard, as did a few other unions, to set the rules about when AI can and can't be used. And we got one of the first tests. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so we're seeing it play out now in real time. Pickford AI has a new interactive murder mystery coming out called Whispers. And it is the first project to cast voice actors under that new SAG AI protocol.
What does that mean for the casting? Are these AI voices, or did people let their voices be simulated? How does this work?
So it is voices of individuals that have been licensed, and they will be paid in the typical way that SAG would expect every time that production is distributed.
Okay.
So it is not the problem that was previously experienced was, you pay for it one time and then the production company has perpetuity rights to it. This moves effectively AI into a similar existence that would have if I was a live voice actor commissioning my voice for use inside of a production.
But the difference, just to make sure I've got this right, is that I, the actor, don't have to record all the lines. The model is going to create them.
Correct. So you effectively have a version of your voice that is available for licensing. But the licensing that it falls under is compensated. Now, it's not compensated at the same rate as if I were live recording things, but that's okay because the idea is that your voice can show up theoretically in a lot more productions simultaneously, potentially.
Okay. And then what did Pickford, why did Pickford AI do that? Did they want to save time or money, or was there some creative part of this?
Well, for them, I think the reason they went this route is because of sort of a scale factor. It is an interactive murder mystery. So not everybody's going to experience this the same way. So it's not like they went and had to record approximately an hour's worth of production content. Mm-hmm. There's going to be really technically hundreds of hours of production content that I pick and choose the path that I listen to. So I still get an hour's worth of material. And so for scale factor, I think it was going to be very difficult and costly to try and put that amount of production time together. Whereas they could generatively create a script, they could apply voices to it and create the same experience in a more low cost way. And I actually have always said that I expected to see more interactive type shows start appearing, sort of somewhere between a video game and a media experience. And this is a good first attempt to see if that takes off and has some popularity.
So it's not as far as the characters are LLMs and I'm chatting with them during the story.
Right.
But
think of it more as a choose your own adventure.
Yeah. And that's just a lot of recording to have to do. So it allowed them to save a little time and probably a little money too. How do you consume this?
Great question. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot more information. Obviously, they're just in the middle of kicking off this production now, and so it's not coming out. But when it comes out, it's likely to be something that's very much driven towards a smart screen experience. So it's likely more of a computer consumption or even mobile consumption.
So it's an animated video then.
It is. It's an animated series that'll be out. And, I doubt it's something that you're watching with a remote control in your hand for interacting. It's likely something you're more watching on your mobile screen.
Yeah. I saw you noted that it screened at the Busan Film Festival. I'm curious to figure out how that works when you got a room full of people.
Sort of assuming that for there, they just had to go with a golden path of everybody was able to watch the same thing together.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, the idea behind this production and other productions like it will be that we all get to watch our version of it and we get to follow our path through it.
And to bring us full circle, does this mean that the union members feel treated fairly? This is by their rules and everything.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's watching it still critically, obviously, to make sure that it pays off. But it ultimately does show them a path forward on how an actor can be correctly compensated. And there can be a world where AI exists in production talent.
Yeah. Well, that's great to know. And thanks for highlighting this for us. We'll keep an eye out for it once it actually rolls out, because I'd like to play around with it. If folks want to play around with your content, where can they go to read what you do?
Well, I haven't made that interactive yet, but I do write a lot of content on Substack. My Substack's called engines-of-change.ai, and I'm writing about the intersection of media and AI technologies.
Fantastic. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Tom.
Yay. Thank you, Andy. That's so interesting. I mean, I think it's really important to make sure that people who are acting, who have a voice, who have a likeness, that they are given the ability to make those choices and to feel like they have control, not just feel like they have control, but have control over their voice and their likeness and have the ability to say yes or no. So sounds good to me.
Need a snazzy gift for a coworker or colleague? We've got dozens of ideas at dailytechnewsshow.com/store. Pick up a mug, t-shirt, or handy dandy mousepad with our new DTNS logo. They're wonderful gifts and a great way to support the show.
Hey, what's up? It's Mario Lopez. Back to school is an exciting time, but it can also be overwhelming, and kids may feel isolated, a vulnerability that human traffickers can exploit. Human trafficking doesn't always look like what you expect. Everyday moments can become opportunities for someone with bad intentions. Whether you're a parent, teacher, coach, or neighbor, check in, ask questions, stay connected. Blue Campaign is a national awareness initiative that provides resources to help recognize suspected instances of human trafficking. Learn the signs and how to report at dhs.gov/Blue Campaign.
Banking with Capital One helps you keep more money in your wallet with no fees or minimums on checking accounts and no overdraft fees. Just ask the Capital One bank guy. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. He'd also tell you that this podcast is his favorite podcast, too. Ah, really? Thanks, Capital One bank guy. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
We end every episode of DTNS with some shared wisdom, and today we have a couple of folks with different perspectives on the new Copilot features for Windows 11 that we talked about yesterday.
First, Andrew says, I had a visceral no reaction to the Microsoft story about elevating voice to be a first-class input to the computer. Some of that likely stems from having worked in open floor plan offices, which are already noisy and distracting as individuals have very different norms about whether or not to take meetings out in the main area. If some portion of the people are also talking to their computers all day, it may be unbearable, and that's from Andrew from Colorado.
Yes. And then Marty says, hey, I've had access to Copilot Vision for a few weeks. I tried asking it how to do things in an app I was developing, and it did a good job at identifying user flows and creating a virtual mouse cursor to guide me around the app, showed me what to click on and stuff. For a private app where it couldn't have had prior training data on specifically, I thought it was pretty smooth. So that's two varied opinions. What Andrew's email really reminded me of, because this is super fresh, is just the other day I was sitting on the couch with my younger daughter. She's 12, and she was kind of playing on her tablet, her iPad, playing a game on Roblox. And I was kind of working with AI and kind of, formulating my ideas around a script that I was working on. And she's sitting there and I'm sitting there, and it just occurred to me, like, I'm just going to use my voice for these things. So every like 2 or 3 minutes out of the silence, she would suddenly hear me launch right into a conversation with the AI for like 2 minutes and then shut up. And then another 2 minutes of silence and then launch in. And it was reflected back to me a little bit later in the evening when we were at the dinner table and she started like doing her impression of dad, like psycho dad on the couch, talking to his computer randomly. And this email kind of makes me think of that, like in a world where suddenly everybody's talking to their machines. It's just what a chaotic environment that would be if that's the case.
Yeah. Well, I remember like way back in the day when, what was it called? Dragon Naturally Speaking was new and everyone was testing that. And I could not get it to recognize my voice. But I also have problems with that on like the early DS games like Brain Age, where it just did not like what I was saying. It didn't like my accent. But of course, these things got much better over time. Now there's those TVs where you can talk to your remote and it's pretty accurate. So I have to assume Microsoft has all of the data on this to make it work.
Yeah, indeed.
What are you thinking about? Do you have some insight into a story? Please, as always, share it with us at feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com.
And big thanks to Andy Beach, Marty, and Andrew for contributing to today's show. And thank you for being along for Daily Tech News Show. You can keep us in business. All you got to do is become a patron. It's that easy. Patreon.com/DTNS. We'll see you next time. This week's episodes of Daily Tech News Show were created by the following people. Host, producer, writer, Tom Merritt. Host, writer, Jason Howell. Co-host, Sarah Lane. Co-host, Jenn Cutter. Producer, Anthony Lemos. Producer, Roger Chang. Editor, Hammond Chamberlain. Editor, Victor Bognat. Science correspondent, Dr. Nikki Ackermans. Social media producer and moderator, Zoe Detterding. Our mods, our amazing mods, Beatmaster, W. Scottis 1, BioCow, Captain Kipper, Steve Guadarrama, Paul Reese, Matthew J. Stevens, a.k.a. Gadget Virtuoso, and J.D. Galloway. Mod and video hosting by Dan Christensen. Music provided by Martin Bell and Dan Luters. Art by Len Peralta. Acast ad support from Tatiana Matias. Patreon support from Bobby Wagner. Our guests this week, Andy Beach and Sean Hollister. And thanks to all our patrons who make the show possible.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Banking with Capital One helps you keep more money in your wallet with no fees or minimums on checking accounts and no overdraft fees. Just ask the Capital One bank guy. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. He'd also tell you that this podcast is his favorite podcast, too. Ah, really? Thanks, Capital One bank guy. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Hey, it's Maya and Sim from the Girls That Invest podcast. If you are an IT or security pro, you know managing devices, identities, and applications can feel overwhelming and honestly risky. That's where Trellica by 1Password comes in. It helps conquer SaaS sprawl and shadow IT by discovering every app your team uses, managed or not. With pre-built app profiles, you can assess risk, manage access, and even optimize your software spend. Plus, it simplifies onboarding, offboarding, and compliance, all while cutting costs by eliminating unused licenses. Take the first step to better security for your team. Learn more at onepassword.com/special offer.